Every inch matters. A pound can mean the difference between life and death. At the Defense Threat Reduction Agency, or DTRA, we lead DoD science and technology to anticipate, defend, and safeguard against chemical and biological weapons of mass destruction threats. Our Joint Science and Technology Office is focused on protecting our nation's future warfighters by inventing new technologies and scientific discoveries that will ultimately eliminate chemical and biological threats from battlefields of the future. They say experience is the best teacher. But how do our scientists get the real-world experience they need to design better, more useful capabilities for the warfighter? Users of our products will be carrying up to 120 pounds of other lightweight equipment. Our ChemBio box is just another thing to carry. The scientist in the Foxhole effort is putting our younger scientists in the field to see firsthand the needs of the warfighter and the types of missions they perform to protect others from chemical and biological threats. This effort is paying real dividends, as many of our scientists have never seen a military operation outside of a television newscast. This project provides a level of warfighter engagement never before seen. One-on-one, scientist to soldier, sailor, marine, or airman. In the most important classroom, the Foxhole, the ship, the flight line.
It's great to get out in the field to experience what the soldiers go through, to see the trials and tribulations that they have to go through with the PPE and the equipment that we think in a pristine lab is absolutely perfect. Turns out in the field, it's not.
There's a big disconnect from working in the cube, making PowerPoints and reading technical papers to actually seeing what they're doing on the front line.
Just getting into the equipment and understanding how much you sweat, how uncomfortable it is. I'm going to take that back, and as we develop the next generation of systems.
Observing and interacting with soldiers going through certification training before deploying to combat zones overseas, our scientists gain valuable insight into combat operations. The soldiers, through this realistic training, use a variety of biological and chemical detectors, showing our scientists how the equipment is used in the field and how restrictive and limiting protective gear can be. The challenges for forces afloat are very different from those on land. Ships are self-contained, self-sufficient floating cities. When exposed to a chemical or biological agent, there is nowhere to run. The crew must deal with it. A ship is a densely populated vessel, and the amount of protection and decontamination equipment is limited by logistics and storage space.
Distinctly different challenges that we see between what we observe with the Army. You know, when you think about ground-based operations versus the kind of environment that you have at sea, is obviously a much different kind of space, much more confined. There's lots of limitations. Things are so close to each other that you have interference between devices. And then just the number of people in a small space makes it a challenge to not only communicate, but also to react when an event occurs.
On the flight line, DTRA scientists interacted with airmen to learn how they detect and defeat chemical, biological, or radiological threats to keep the base operating and the planes flying. These airmen wear bulky, hot protective equipment while assessing the threat in a variety of situations, from accidental spills on base to searching villages for suspected threats.
So I think it's an extremely valuable experience that I would recommend to all engineers that I know, to all scientists, because I think it really helps you do your job better when you get back home.
The Defense Threat Reduction Agency leads DoD science and technology to anticipate, defend, and safeguard against chemical and biological threats.